Okay, so something brand new for us. We decided to not sit next to each other in the same room so that we could make a video and post this in all the places in case you prefer to watch your podcasts instead of listen to them. So that's what we're experimenting with. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Erin, and it is lovely to see you on the screen, even though I usually get to sit next to you. This is fun. Yeah, it's a chance for us to be a little more freewheeling and to go places that we wouldn't otherwise go in the podcast. So thanks for joining us, everybody. And we're going to have a good time. We are talking about rethinking your goals for the new year. And the way we usually record our podcasts is we sit down and we just jam on a topic and we let the magic occur from there. We don't have a script. We don't have detailed talking points. We just have our experience with our clients, our experience with ourselves, and the thing that we want to share with you. And so with this new format, it makes it a little more transparent how exactly we get that done. So that's part of what we wanted to share, was the magic behind the scenes in how we make the podcast.
Yeah. And for those of you listening to the podcast, you'll notice I still like to edit the audio just to make it a little bit cleaner. So you're not in the car wondering if our long pauses, if something has happened to us. But for those of you watching the video, you're getting the real live recording. We have not pre-planned anything that we're talking about. You may see a cat jump up. We're going to cut each other off, throw chairs. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be fun. So yeah, welcome.
Absolutely. So we're talking about rethinking your goals for the new year. It is 2023, January when we are recording, and we've all got goals. We got things that we want to do in the new year. And this is a topic that is very near and dear to our hearts, because most of the time goals are done in a way that tend to be detrimental, or if not detrimental, don't give you as much power as they otherwise could.
Yeah. I have a few clients who find the word goals itself just very triggering. And this has kind of been on our minds because last week, as a start to the new year, we did a day-long planning session. We have a really nice house. It's hard for me to want to leave our home, but we broke out of our comfort zone and we checked into a beautiful hotel. We spent the day planning, thinking, taking breaks to go for walks, eating some nice food, and trying to essentially put our nervous systems into a space of openness where we could make decisions in ways that aren't always available to us when we're going through like our weekly meeting. And this is something I know so many business owners aspire to do. They're like, yeah, for my quarterly meeting, every time I want to go away somewhere for a few days, or I want to have my planning sessions in an aspirationally beautiful space. And I think that can be sometimes hard to do, hard to navigate. We have kids, there's a lot of moving pieces and we have a busy business, but the way you are when you make important decisions like the goals that you're going to work on for the year, your state of being when you do that is so important. I think it's very underrated. And I think a lot of people miss that you can't just decide during your daily huddle or your Monday morning meeting what you're going to try to do for the next quarter. You can, but will that be the highest level possible decision? So that's what we tried to create. And yeah, it was really great. And I don't think that some of the things that kind of came up would have had the space to emerge had we not taken that time.
That's such a good point, that the space that you're in when you set your goals determines a lot about what those goals are and how you feel about actually moving towards them. We're working on a book, and we've mentioned this a little bit on the podcast, but the word goal is filled with so much baggage, right? There is so much attached to that word because it's such a big thing in our culture. And so to help ourselves and our listeners, to help all of you kind of rethink the idea of goals themselves, we've started using a new word. And the word we chose was lantern. We can talk all about why and what the lantern means, but the heart of why we're using the word lantern instead of goal is because it allows you to start fresh. It allows you to think, who is it that I want to be as I do this thing, rather than what is the thing that will suddenly make my life complete, or what is the missing piece in the puzzle of my heart. When you think about lanterns, it's a little more unknown. You don't put so much inherent value on the thing itself. You realize that the value is in you. And so when we talk about rethinking goals, the starting place is in rethinking who is the one who is moving towards them.
Yeah, when we were kind of rolling this idea around and learning how to change our own vocabulary within our business, but also with our clients, from goals to lanterns, I kind of had this visual that in order to light a lantern, you have to carry a light source with you. And what I think about is, for so many of our clients who are trying to achieve things that are way beyond the scope of what their business is currently capable of, maybe what they're even capable of at this moment, you have to tend to your own inner fire. And it's something that I've been trying to articulate for years. Like when I talk about why self-care is so important when you're the business owner, when you're the entrepreneur, when you're the CEO or the leader, that's your inner fire. What you bring to the table and what you're able to generate determines whether you reach that lantern and have the fuel to light it or not. And we've seen so many examples, this has happened to me, of people who pick a goal and squish it into an arbitrary timeline and then add all of these caveats to it and all the stipulations for how it has to happen and when it has to happen and how they're supposed to feel when they get there. And then they light that lantern and turn around and find out, like, I'm totally alone. I've alienated all the people who would have supported me. I've burned a lot of bridges on the way. I've disrupted relationships and my own health. So I'm not saying this is a judgmental thing, because we know that this has happened to me. This has happened in my life, and it's very painful and it's very hard. So we wanted to describe this in a way that's a little more spiritual, to say that, yeah, we should all have goals. That's great. If you have something you want to achieve, by all means, go after it. But how you tend to your own inner flame on the way, so that you have something healthy to light that lantern with, so that you can light the path forward and be a beacon for people who are behind you on the path. It's very, very important. And we can't do goals, I think, the way that we did 10 years ago.
Absolutely. And so what that means as you're rethinking your goals is not just the place that you want to get to. It's not just, what lantern do I want to light, because that's going to get me there, but actually the process of getting there is part of the rethinking. Because if that process does not include the stuff that makes your life awesome, fun, worth living, then the goal is not going to do it for you, right? We should not save up the joy of our life to the moment that we achieve, whatever our revenue milestone for the year might be.
Oh my God, say that again.
Don't save up the joy of your life for when you achieve that goal, achieve that milestone, because it will not give you the thing you seek.
Yeah, especially because I think, just to even stretch the context of this a little bit further, um, this might be further outside of the scope of this particular episode, but I think too often people set up goals or lanterns for themselves that might not actually be meaningful in the full picture of the life that the universe is dreaming for them, or their bigger vision. And so that's something, that we probably can't just resolve for everybody here on a podcast episode, but you could actually start to think about like this. Maybe you already set up some lanterns for 2023. Do you feel like those things are aligned with you? Do those feel like natural light towards the next thing you want to achieve in your life, or the impact that you want to leave behind after you're no longer here? And I know this is like it's a deep it's a deep thing to consider, but I mean, how many people have set a goal, achieved it, and thought, I was expecting that piece of paper I got, or that revenue number in the bank I got, to like feel good or feel better. And it doesn't.
Yeah. And so very specifically, what rethinking it includes is, how are you going to be taking care of yourself along the way? And so as we were setting our very big, ambitious, in some cases 10 times bigger than before, lanterns for the different parts of our business, we made sure each one of them included, and how are we going to do it? How are we going to take care of ourselves so that we aren't, at our revenue number, but no longer happy looking at each other, right? You want to make sure that the life that you want to lead starts, and that the goals follow that.
Yeah. And I mean, just in case anyone's curious, like, what does that tangibly mean? So we have a course that we are working on sort of in tandem with our new book. And Steve had put a big day of recording on our calendar coming up in the next couple of weeks. The day before, there's nothing on the calendar, like virtually nothing. It's a day of like resting, sleeping, totally unplugging. I'm trying to bring this back. One of my lanterns for the year is going to require a lot more, probably a lot more time at my computer than I normally spend. And the way that I'm supporting that particular lantern is trying to take a full day of no screens once a week. Very challenging. I probably will still check my phone because I like people, but no email, no social media, no like movies for no reason. It's just going to be a really plugged in day with the in real life humans in my life.
Yeah. And so, right, we kind of get down to some of the specifics of, if you're doing something that's going to require more screen time, spend a day with less screen time. If you're doing something that's going to require more from your partner, bake in more time with your partner, more that you can give to the relationship. All of these are ways of planning for real success. Because achieving, reaching your lantern, lighting that fire, but not having the torch on the flame. It's like, you're going up a hike and you're holding the flame, but it's getting smaller and smaller, and you finally reach the lantern, but you don't have any flame left. You actually can't light it. So that's what's at the heart of it, is what's it going to take for you to be living the life that you want to live, not once you achieve it, right? Because we all think, well, once I reach my $100,000 goal, and I'll be able to quit my day job and be a full-time coach. Or once our business finally reaches the $3 million mark and I can take myself out of the weeds and hire an assistant, then I'm going to be living the kind of life that I want to be living. Take the elements of that life that are so attractive to you. Maybe it's the freedom that you think you'll have when you're no longer in your 9 to 5. Maybe it's the strategy and vision work that you'll be able to do when you finally have the organizational structure that you want. And start doing those things now. Find pockets of freedom, of autonomy, of vision that you can plan into your day before you hit the goal. So that when you finally do reach that revenue mark and you say, okay, now I can change everything, you're like, no, the everything has been a work in progress. The revenue is just that lantern is just a feather in the cap. The process was the thing that made all the difference.
So good. Yeah. So I hope that for everyone watching or listening, this just gives you pause before you bulldoze your way to whatever 2023 or whenever you're listening to this, whatever goal or lantern is next for you. I hope this gives you pause to really consider, one, does this make sense with the big picture of my life and what I'm here to create? And two, how will I tend to my own inner fire as I'm making progress, so that I don't get to the lantern and find out I'm out of fuel. I have nothing to give. Because like all goals, like all lanterns, they are not the point of your life. They're not the end marker. There will be something that you probably want to do or achieve after that. As long as we have breath, we probably are going to want to do something more, especially if you're a business owner. We never like to sit for too long. So make sure that you are also building your own resiliency and sustainable pockets of your life, not as a nice to have, not as a luxury, but as an essential part. Like any Olympic athlete, recovery is just as much a part of the training, as the hard stuff. So make sure you're taking care of all parts of you.
Right? If you're treating yourself as a world-class doer of things, right? A world-class entrepreneur, a world-class business owner, then thinking about your recovery time as though you were a world-class athlete, it just makes sense, right? You can't push forever and be successful. So that I think is one of the main foundations of rethinking goals. I also want to speak to not the other side of it, but more the like almost the expectation of it. Because there's a magical element to lighting a lantern. Another reason why I love this metaphor, right? Fire. You can't hold it. You can't grasp it. You can't like do anything with it. It's the result of a process. And therefore, there's a certain magic to it. And so as you are considering these goals, pay attention to which side you fall on. What I've seen is that there's kind of two approaches to goals. One is all I'm going to do is think about it and then do a bunch of things. And then those things, it's like the underpants gnomes, right? Step 1, steal an underpants. Step 3, profit. Okay, but what? You're like, just forget it. Step 1, steal underpants. Step 3, profit. So like, see if that's more your camp. I'm not saying that's your actual camp, right? No one would actually say that. But sometimes we're just like, okay, I'm going to make $1 million this year. What are you going to do? We'll see, right? We'll see. I'm going to try a bunch of things. Okay, like what? I don't know. We'll see. Like that's you're sort of avoiding the challenge of preparing for your success. And then on the other side is well, if I schedule out all 12 months and I sell this amount in this month and that amount in that month, and I get these clients from that place and I sell these customers from that place, then we're going to do it. you are planning out, you're not making room for the magic with your over planning, over analysis. So Erin, what do you think? Is that
Yeah, I mean, I've done both ways. I'm like, maybe you belong to both camps. I've totally done this both ways. When I was really new in my coaching business, specifically, I totally calculated like the revenue I need to make this month, and every other month it must be always this. And it was very stressful. It was just a lot. And I've also tried totally just relaxing and saying, I don't know what's going to happen. The universe is going to just hand it to me because I'm a nice person. That does not work either. I think for me, the magic is in collaboration. It's in saying every single day, I am going to think about my goal. I'm going to think about what my business needs. I'm going to think about what I need as the creator in my business. And then I'm also going to be open to the collaboration of the universe. And that sometimes comes in the form of my business partner having a brilliant idea that sets us on a new path. It might come from a client sending me a perfect fit referral, but it's neither rigid nor like I almost want to say like entitled. It's not saying like, well, because I got out of bed today, I should have $1 million business. No, it's because I created something of value and I showed up and I made myself available and I made my business available and more visible. Of course, that's going to come towards me, but not just because I was sitting and thinking about it and dreaming about it and thinking, I'm just going to manifest a new business today. Like, no, I'm going to show up as though that's coming and I'm going to make myself as available for it as possible. And that sometimes looks like making sure I do a workout or meditate before I sit down with my clients. It means that I try to sleep and eat really well. And then it's also just the tangible stuff, like how am I nurturing my leads today? How am I creating something I know that a lot of people on our list really need?
it's almost the kind of bringing the two together, right? I love the word collaboration, because then there's something else involved. There's someone else involved, but you're definitely one of those somethings.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I mean, I've said this before, it's not enough to like light a candle and imagine your bank account having more money in it. That's like something that is magical and it totally can happen, but you don't make it quite so easy for the universe to support your business account growing as you would had you lit the candle, gotten really focused and asked the question, what does my client need today? What would my customers value enough to pay for that I could go create and talk about?
Mm-hmm.
Like energy, magic follows the path of least resistance. And that sometimes means you have to do stuff. So tend to your torch, but remember that that's also tending to your business. That's also tending to your people.
That's brilliant. It's like the in-breath and the out-breath, right? The magic of being and the life of doing. There's the, like, if you tend to be more on the practical side, you just wake up and you start checking your emails and you crank through your stuff and you're like, I wish I had some time for meditation or reflection. You guys with all your rest and candles and stuff, it must be nice. Schedule that in. Make that part of your lantern, because without that magic, not only are you missing out on the collaboration, the ideas, the wonders that can come from leaning back a bit, surrendering more, being open to what the universe has in store for you, but you also miss out on all those joyful things, thinking that they're somewhere in the future, thinking that they're somewhere else. So if there's any takeaway from this like two camps thing, is let them be your in-breath and your out-breath of business.
So good. Thanks, Steve. This was super fun.
Amazing. It was sort of like an interview, except with the same two of us as there always is.
Interviewing the universe as channeled through Erin and Steve.
Exactly. All right. What should people do if they want to know more about you, Erin?
Well, me and my business partner have some things. But for anyone, if you are new to us and you're not already part of the Superabound Collective, which is our free community, you can head over to the superabound.com/collective. We have been thinking about you, and we are working on something that's going to be coming out just for our community next week. So make sure you are in that world. And if you have been listening to this podcast for a while and you know us and you love us, but you have not yet given us a 5-star rating, hopefully, or left us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, we would really appreciate that, because one of our lanterns this year is helping many, 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 many more business owners. And the best way to do that is for you to spread the word if you're appreciating what we've got here for you.
Yes, thank you so much. And if you're brand new, go ahead and subscribe. We release this podcast every week. We are going to have some amazing guests coming up this year. We've got a lot in store. This lantern's going to be bright, baby. Sign up, be a subscriber, and we'll see you over at the Superabound Collective. Thank you so much for listening.
Take care.